Welcome back, you guys, and LeBron James is having another MVP season at 36 years old. Going into this year, I thought it was going to be Anthony Davis as the #1 guy leading the Lakers to regular season success, with LeBron taking a step back, but no, it's been the opposite. LeBron is doing slightly different things this year to keep the Lakers as the title favorites in 2021. Of course, basketball is basketball. You're going to rely on your main strengths to have a productive game on a random NBA night, but LeBron has made adjustments here and there from his first stint in Cleveland to now in LA, where they got the first seed in the West last year because of bully ball and their size on defense. You have to go back to this quote LeBron said when he was asked about adapting to the style of play from the mid-2000s to 2020. As the league evolves, you have to be able to evolve with it if you want to keep up with the times, keeping up with the Joneses or the Jameses in my case. For me, it's just never putting a cap on myself. I just want to always continue to get better and do things out on the floor that maybe hasn't been done in other people's careers, and continue to push the envelope and see how much juice I can squeeze out the lemon. In his 18th season, LeBron has made some slight tweaks to his game to prolong his career and has adjusted to the two new players in the Lakers starting lineup. The guide to limiting LeBron's effectiveness over the course of a 48-minute game has always been take away the paint and force him to rely on his jumper. Well, at least the very good teams in the league have had the most success at that. You gotta have 5 defenders in tune to make it difficult, because if you're just a regular middle of the pack team, you're getting torched no matter what. That was part of the game plan for the 2011 Mavericks, which worked against LeBron, but in 2013, the Spurs did that and they got burned in the final game of the series. But fortunately for teams this year in the regular season, because of roster construction and him getting older, LeBron is not attacking the basket as often this year. As of today, he is taking the second least amount of shots in the restricted area per game in his career. He is taking about 6 per game, which is down from the 8 he was taking last year. Of course, he still lives in the paint when the games matter, so nobody should be too worried about the slight decline in attempts, but there were a lot of times in 2020 where the Lakers' half-court offense got really stagnant even when LeBron was on the floor, so getting a guy like Schroeder helps. You can't have LeBron going to the rim 14-15 times per game like he did last year. That's just unsustainable for regular season games that don't matter much. We're just going to remember how he did in the playoff games. And you can even see it in the drives per game this year, which have also gone down. He was at 14.1 drives last year, which led the Lakers, to 10.2, which is now second behind Dennis Schroeder. And that makes sense with Dennis Schroeder on the team. He's a guy who likes to use his speed and dribble to get into the paint. And one more quick stat from Basketball Reference to show that he's moved a bit away from the basket. This season, LeBron's average shot from the rim is about 14 feet away, which is the highest mark of his career. So what has he been doing this regular season so far to compensate for the least amount of shots he's taking at the rim? He's making threes at a rate like he's never had before. Last season, LeBron led the Lakers with 148 three-pointers made. This year, he's doing it again, but on better efficiency. He's averaging career bests in three-point attempts, three-point makes, and three-point percentage. What helps is that he's 6'9", so it's really difficult to contest his shot whether you're a big or a small. I mean, that side dribble pull-up three that everyone knows is coming is kind of hard to defend if you fall asleep, because you want to get up and force him into a contested shot if the shot clock is at 3 or 4 seconds, but you also have to watch out for the drive, so you can't overplay it too much. You gotta have the right timing when you're thinking of stepping up or playing off of him. To show another stat where he's doing well, he's one of the better pull-up three-point shooters this year. He's shooting 42% of those shots. To put it in perspective, he shot only 32% of these shots last year. As most would guess, Steph Curry leads the league with 78 pull-up threes made, Damian Lillard is second with 71, and then you got Zach LaVine in third place. And then LeBron, who comes in with the 7th most made pull-up threes at this point in the season. That is more than guys like Jason Tatum, Jamal Murray, and Donovan Mitchell. This is a shot that guys like to take in any type of situation. I've seen it taken within 6 seconds of the shot clock, or when it's a 3-on-2 half transition situation. It's also something that guys like to go to if the team defense they are going against is shutting down all their little side actions that were supposed to get the role players open, and that's the only thing left to do. Give it to the best player and he'll 1-2 dribble into a 3-point shot. This is also the shot that gets you out of jams when points aren't coming easy, especially in a playoff series. If you're one of the main guys initiating offense in a playoff series from the perimeter, the pull-up three is basically a must-have job requirement. You can't go into a series that's tied 2-2 without that shot, because at that stage of the series, everyone knows your plays, and you got to be able to freelance with your dribble and jump shot. We've seen LeBron do this a lot since the 2018 playoff run, and most recently against the Miami Heat in the NBA Finals. Being able to hit threes like this at 35 keeps him in the best player in the league spot and makes it so he can expend less energy during the regular season. Going into the season, the Lakers made a change at a position that helped them have the best record in the Western Conference and win a championship last year. They replaced Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee with Marc Gasol and Montrezl Harrell. They lost some of their vertical alley-oop game and bruising size at the center spot, but in return got back someone who can shoot threes, make timely passes from everywhere on the court, and defend the elite centers in a playoff series. When you add in Marc Gasol with Anthony Davis on offense, the Lakers now have two bigs that can read the floor when they are posting up or out at the three-point line, which means LeBron can play off of them with a spot-up three, dribble handoff, or a cut to the rim. Also add in Dennis Schroeder, who takes over dribbling duties at times. You have three other guys that can find LeBron without the ball and get him an easy look that doesn't involve working up the energy to blow by your defender and finesse a layup over a 7-footer. According to Basketball Reference, last season LeBron was assisted on 23% of his shots inside the three-point line. This season it is up a bit. 35% of LeBron's made shots inside the three-point line have been assisted on, which is the highest mark since the 2017 season when LeBron played with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. In that 2018 season, LeBron didn't really have anybody that was that reliable offensively next to him in the second half of the season besides Kevin Love, who was in and out of the lineup that year. And last year, the Lakers didn't have a passing big like Gasol or a dribble drive guy like Schroeder, so there was a lot of him and AD controlling the starting lineup offense. Now, it's not like LeBron hasn't played like this before, of course. He had a few years in Miami where he had a good amount of his shots in the paint assisted on, but I just wanted to point out the difference from this year to last. He has had seasons where a higher percent of his shots were assisted on, but the jump from 23% last year to 35% this year really shows that he's moving a little bit different, with Schroeder and Gasol controlling more of the offense in that starting lineup. So this part of the video, it's just a longer discussion of stuff people have said before and are talking about. How long is LeBron going to be playing at this level? I've been reading and listening to a lot of Tom Brady and LeBron comparisons. Is he going to play till he's like 40 or 41 like him? There is going to be a time where LeBron isn't an MVP level player and he's just like a borderline all-NBA guy. Like, that's going to happen and it's going to be weird. He might be able to, honestly, because it's not like this is the early 2000s where the play styles were different at the forward position. You know, where almost every power forward was a strong guy inside that you had to compete with for rebounds or post position. The power forward spot is becoming a more skill position in a way. A lot of skinnier guys for their position, not many bruisers or guys that are going to shoulder you. Obviously, LeBron guards small forwards usually, but in a playoff series when the game is serious, he's at the 4. Those guys like to stand around on the three-point line, sit in the dunker spot, or they set a screen. Not much physical action, which means LeBron can just sit and stand around on defense at times, which is a lot less taxing on the body, so it's not crazy to think he can keep playing at a high level. I don't know about 40 years old, but we can't rule it out completely. And to bring up something I mentioned earlier, if he continues to take less shots at the rim during the regular season and continues to launch up the most three-point shots of his career, that's going to be beneficial long term. And to go a little bit off topic, that's why it's going to be interesting with Kevin Durant, because he's even more perimeter oriented than LeBron, so I can see KD being very good into his late 30s as well. And that's it for me. Some of the stats I've used are just from basketballreference.com and the NBA.com stats page for those that are curious.